If you are a pensive and sensitive young man, perhaps you've thought of taking up music transcription by ear. You'd likely do this on a coffee shop patio with wired headphones and infinite jest sitting cover up on the table in front of you. But what if I told you there's an easier way? A tool that instantly turns audio files into sheet music, guitar tabs, piano rolls, and MIDI. No more tedious transcription, no more catching the eye of the cute barista who's wondering what you're listening to. No more worrying about how you're being perceived in public, because those things can be so distracting from your work. I had the exquisite pleasure of sitting down with Andrew Carlins, who, with his co-founders Katie, Alex, and Tim, is building this instant music transcription tool. They're called Songscription, and they're an AI research lab focused on music information retrieval, with the mission of enabling more people all over the world to perform more live music. Just listen to what they've already been able to accomplish for people.
We had a user who is visually impaired write us saying, thanks to you, I could finally have my compositions written down. I've always wanted this, but I've never actually been able to take my recordings, write it down, and then share with others.
Wow. Without further ado, Andrew Carlins. Thanks for coming in, Andrew. So tell me about Songscription, what it does, who it's for, what it solves.
So we are, at our core, a AI research lab that focuses on music learning and music performance. What we do today is if you upload any audio, your own composition, for example, to our platform, we turn audio into sheet music or into MIDI, a form that a producer or a teacher or a music learner could use to then perform it live.
Okay. MIDI is a type of file, right, for music, correct?
Exactly.
Cool. And you call yourselves an AI research lab. What do you mean by that exactly?
So for us, where we spend the majority of our time thinking or the majority of our resources goes toward developing these proprietary AI models from scratch in-house. The particular field that we focus on is called music information retrieval, MIR for short. And we're developing these models that push the frontier of MIR. So mention the turning the audio to MIDI or the audio to sheet music are examples, but we also have models that we haven't yet released. We've been developing that, for example, will listen to you when you perform live and give you feedback on that performance. Did you play the note correctly or incorrectly? How could you improve? Developing additional models that could help arrange pieces. For example, you upload a song that has multiple parts. How could you get it for a piano solo? Or how could you simplify a piece? Or know where to put your fingers on the piano?
Wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty comprehensive. Who is Songscription for? Sounds like it can be for hobbyists, for pro musicians, teachers too, maybe. Who is your target audience for this?
Actually, we see about 5 different kinds of people coming to our platform. You're right, we see the professional composers. We also see music learners. We also see music teachers. We see music producers. And then we also see these, call it performers, your dad band or your church band or your college ensemble. So those are generally the 5 different profiles that we see.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I dabble in a bit of music production. How would I find Songscription to be most useful?
So for you, I guess, give me a little bit more context. What kind of music do you produce?
Electronic, mainly.
If you ever have some kind of sample that you want to integrate to a mix of yours, or you have this great melody that you composed on a live piano, and you want to just drop it into your DAW to produce with, but all you have is a raw audio file, and you really like the way that it particularly sounds in this case. And it's really hard to recreate from scratch on a MIDI keyboard or recreate on the DAW. You could just instead drop that recording into our platform. We'll convert it to MIDI for you instantly, and then drop it in the DAW of your choosing, and mix and master your favorite your piece.
Oh, that's very cool. That's very cool. I dig that. So, what's your background? What brought you to a music tech company?
So, my background's a bit unorthodox for this. Growing up, music was always a really important thing to me, but it was never my thing because I was never very good at it. Maybe I could explain a little more. So I grew up with a stutter, and when you sing, your stutter goes away.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you've ever seen the movie The King's Speech, there's a scene where the speech therapist tells the King of England to practice singing instead of talking, and you see he becomes more fluent. It's true for many people who stutter, myself included. It's actually the same part of, or the same neurological phenomenon for why people with Parkinson's many times can dance better than they could walk. Just the rhythm comes from a different part of the brain. And so from an early age, music was quite literally how I found my voice. I did musical theater, I played baritone saxophone and piano, did this all the way through college. I went to Duke for undergrad, and there I played in the Duke University Marching Band, or DUM. So I was a dumb saxophone player.
Nice.
But I always needed the sheet music for it because I was never gifted enough to play by ear.
Okay.
And even with jazz, like I would love jazz, and just could never actually make an improvisation on my own without having some kind of reference in front of me. And I remember in high school spending hours, for example, in the pit orchestra, having to physically transpose particular pieces of music to match, in my case for the bari sax. And I put down my instruments. I think that I would be less likely to have stopped playing regularly had I had access to music that I wanted to play at my level. So building Songscription for me is solving this problem and hopefully making music, learning music, performing music live more accessible for people around the world.
Cool. So does Songscription allow a music student to say, okay, this is my favorite song, this is my skill level, adapt the sheet music to my skill level?
So that's something that we've released a beta version of that today.
Okay. Oh wow, today.
It's live on the site.
Okay. Gotcha.
This we had for a few weeks. We realized it was getting quite a bit of traction. So we've developed an entire. We've expanded that functionality, where now we have multiple levels you could choose from:
Cool.
beginner, late beginner, intermediate, late intermediate, advanced. We haven't quite released those yet. But we have all of the code and are integrating it into the UI, UX, making sure that when it's pushed, our users know about it.
Very cool. Because I used to play piano when I was a kid, as so many people do, and then I quit, as also so many people do. But I imagine if I had the ability to take a pop song I loved at the time and have it transcribed to a level that I could play, that maybe would have kept me around a little longer.
Something else that might have been interesting for that kind of use case. Like, we actually had a ton of people who have they're pretty new to piano in general, and learn from something called the piano roll. Do you know what piano roll is?
Yes, yeah, I've seen the YouTube videos with the pretty lights that come down.
Exactly,
yeah.
Exactly. So we create those for you in addition to the sheet music.
Cool.
But what we realized is a lot of our users want to watch that when they want to watch the video when they're playing piano, so that they use that as a learning functionality. We realized that demand is quite big, and that is truly the lowest barrier to entry, because it's just watching a bar and following it. You don't even need to learn how to read sheet music. And so our mission being to make playing music, learning music more accessible, seemed like a really interesting space to double down in. And if you in about a month's time, we'll release our first version of our mobile app,
Cool.
Where it'll focus on that piano roll functionality, allowing users to hopefully bringing the bar down for anyone around the world to learn by just watching a video of what keys to press.
Cool. You have 4 co-founders, which I'm not native to the tech world, but I understand that that's pretty unique to have that many co-founders. How do you guys split the work? And was this originally your idea, or was it one of the others? How did you guys find each other?
It's another quite a serendipitous story. I'll start with the founding story, and then I could tell you more about how we split the work.
Sure.
So 3 of us, Katie, Alex, and I, took a class at Stanford together. The class is called Lean Launchpad for Education. And the purpose of the class was to build a company in the course of 12 weeks, one academic quarter, focused on solving a problem in the world of education. it took a lot of ideating, but Alex, Katie, and I were on a team together, and we thought through something in music education. All of us were passionate about music. None of us were these musical prodigies type, so we were interested in music learning and making that easier for folks, and stumbled across music transcription as really a core issue that plagues the entire industry. It's a bottleneck for music learners, music teachers, professionals alike. And at the same time realized that the forefronts of AI, the frontiers of music information retrieval, are finally making it possible to automate transcription at a commercially viable level, whereas historically it's had to be done by hand. And that led us to look for existing research and papers out there, and forget if it was Alex or Katie, but one of them came across Tim Baya's paper. Tim at the time was a PhD student at the Technical University of Munich. So we reached out to him and said, hey Tim, you have this really cool paper. Would you mind if we get your model and put it behind a wireframe of a website and see how it does? And Tim said sure. So we did that, and overnight we got a few dozen hits.
Wow.
It turns out there was some real latent need there. And they were like, wow, there's something here, it seems. And so, as I mentioned, the field of AI is music information retrieval, MIR. So there's an annual conference called ISMER, International Society for Music Information Retrieval. So ISMER that year, 2024, was hosted in San Francisco. And Tim was presenting his paper there. And so we may or may not have had a ticket to this, but we did get inside the conference.
Okay.
And approached him and said,
a little espionage going on.
Well, may or may not have had a ticket,
So I guess we can't say on the record whether you did or not. We'll skip over that.
We approached Tim and said, hey Tim, we think this has some real potential, and we'd love to ideally build a startup together. And Tim took a crazy leap of faith with us and said yes, and thus December 2024, Songscription was born. So that's the founding story. And then in terms of how we divide labor, having a team of 4 co-founders is truly a blessing. I mean, there's of course trade-offs with everything, but for us it works really well. So I mentioned in the beginning, we see ourselves truly as an AI research lab focusing on music. Or focusing on music education, music performance. But there's a lot of moving parts. One, of course, there's the AI research side. So Tim, anything that's AI, so building the models, testing different hypotheses, figuring out what should come next and what's possible, basically pushing the frontiers further, Tim heads up. And at this point, we have a few other PhDs working on the AI team under Tim. Alex is so Tim is a chief science officer. Alex is our chief technology officer, and he works on all of the back end, making sure that what we have is scalable, supporting the AI team with any kind of data piping that they need. Alex also is a very skilled full stack engineer, so provides support on product, but his core is on the back end, making sure that as we grow and develop, things don't break. Katie is our chief product officer. She focuses on making sure that what users see looks beautiful, and that people know about it, and that there's ways that we could continue growing, for example, organically, and making sure that our brand looks good and the product is aligned with what user demand is. And then I, as the CEO, run all of the growth and marketing. I run the legal, the accounting, the investor relations, making sure people are happy as well.
Cool. How did you get your first 10,000 users?
So like I said before, we got quite lucky that the problem that we were solving had a lot of organic demand. Just putting up a wireframe of the website led to dozens of users overnight.
From just one day to another?
Yes,
wow.
Yes. Our first 10,000 users, we did entirely organically. And what this looked like at first was just building a better product, posting about it in various forums. For example, Reddit, telling different community subreddits that, hey, we're building this, we'd love for your feedback. And sharing it with our friends, or even direct emailing musicians or ensembles. And we are also very lucky to get some early PR traction. It's a real emotional problem that we're solving. People tell us that we've made their dreams come true, which is
pretty awesome.
Yeah, quite a cool thing to hear.
Yeah.
I could tell you some more user stories later, but the fact that it does solve this really deep emotional need, I think, is a reason why some pretty big media outlets were willing to cover us, even though we were quite small. I could think of TechCrunch specifically. This is even before we really launched, or this is before we raised serious money. Was able to, or they were willing to write a story about us, and that was just from a cold outreach to the journalist.
Wow. What is one of those more poignant user stories?
I think, I could tell three. One that's really stands out to me because I come to this space from a disability angle, an accessibility angle. We had a user who is visually impaired write us saying, thanks to you, I could finally have my compositions written down. I've always wanted this, but I've never actually been able to take my recordings, write it down, and then share with others.
Wow.
So that was one. Another one that comes to mind, there's a user who had a stroke, had all of their compositions recorded. This is a guitar player, I believe. And because of the stroke, just couldn't remember where to put their hands on the guitar. And wrote us saying, thanks to you, I could, I now have the tabs, and I now know how to play my own compositions again. Otherwise, I would have forgotten.
Wow.
And then a third example, there's this 90-something-year-old user who is spent his entire life teaching how to compose music in Australia, and wrote us saying that he had questions about how exactly the UI UX worked, but for him it was important to get his compositions down in writing to leave a legacy behind. And without this kind of technology, it would have been it wouldn't have been affordable for him to properly leave his, or either affordable or accessible for him to leave the legacy that he wanted to.
Wow, that's very cool that you're having such a emotional impact for these people. Who is converting to paid, and how do you get them to that point? Is there a fraction of the types of ICPs that is most likely to start a subscription?
We actually see a good amount of representation across the field. At this point, we offer a la carte and subscription-based services. And when you look at the subscribers, they tend to be people who have a regular need for playing. And so we don't get many true beginners to pay. We also, the sweet spot could be music educators, or either full-time or part-time, your intermediate to advanced piano player who's like a real serious hobbyist, and has some regular need. We get a lot of parents that are transcribing or arranging things for their kids because their kids want to play. We get a good amount of community performers, like in those church bands or local ensemble groups that are wanting a particular piece. I know that's quite varied. It does, though, reflect that we are what we're building fixes or solves a lot of jobs to be done. And part of the reason we're developing this mobile application is because the learning component is something that we think has a lot of great potential, and that's where we want to make a bet. If I'm envisioning Songscription, down the line, a couple of years, we'll have these different platforms or different services or applications that cater to all those 5 ICPs: the learners, the teachers, the composers, etc.
Are you actively selling to school districts and educators?
Well, we did actually. We did a few trials with universities and school districts. even nonprofits and religious organizations too. And that's something we're really excited about longer term. Right now, we know we have a lot of teachers on our platform, or a good amount of teachers, be them part of official school districts or private teachers, tutors.
That are just finding it on their own, deciding they want to implement it in their classroom or students.
Exactly. And that's really cool for us because the education component, allowing people to play more music live for us makes the world a better place. So that's cool for us. It's mission aligned.
Yeah.
We haven't dedicated focus on schools yet. The primary reason is it's really twofold. One is around the fidelity of the technology. Just like with any AI model, the development is, it's like linear until it's not, until it reaches a breaking, like true breaking velocity. And where we're at, we've gradually improved the output, and we see our average rating that our users leave going up over time. We see our conversion rate increasing. We see fewer people, we see fewer people leaving complaints that the quality isn't there. We also know that we're not perfect yet. We know we have a long way to go. And when we're selling into schools or any institution for that matter, they expect they tend to expect a much higher fidelity than say individual consumers.
That makes sense.
One is that our technology is great. I think we need one or two more step functions before it's ready for institutional level contracts. Those are bigger contracts.
Gotcha.
The second reason is a legal one, and that's around licensing. So we've in the music industry in general, there's a variety of different approaches to how to deal with licensing. We've taken one because for us, empowering people to play more music live is the core of what we're doing. We're not generating anything. We're more of an assistive or a derivative AI technology. So you upload something and we just take it from one form and turn it into another. We don't create something new or something new from scratch. We've taken an approach of proactively engaging the music industry. So we've been negotiating with music publishers for the better part of a year, and hopefully very soon we'll sign contracts with publishers so that if or once we're ready to go to schools proactively to get contracts, we could also tell them, look, the whole industry is behind us and supports us, so you don't have to worry about that side of it either.
So what's the ideal outcome with those negotiations? Is it partnership or licensing with the music publishers?
Actually, it's a bit of both. Many publishers have expressed, so one, it's licensing. It's licensing to create sheet music for compositions that the publishers own. We're really excited. I remember growing up. I played Barry sax. There's almost no pop song or no song that you could name that has a solo. That has a solo written specifically for Barry sax. And if to the extent there is a solo, it's probably not at the right level because I wasn't very good, right? I'm so excited at a future world where the 8th grade band in Long Island, New York, where I'm from, doesn't have to play a march written in the 1800s, but could play the newest pop song, and Johnny could get sheet music written at the intermediate tuba level, and Sam could get advanced sheet music written for the flute, just personalized music education at scale. And to do that for songs that people deeply connect with, the popular music, we need the publishers behind, and we have to get licensing for that. We've taken a pretty conservative approach to product development, meaning I shared we have a lot of models that we haven't released yet. We want to make sure we're doing things kosher from the industry perspective. That's also core to our values. So that's one part. The other part is, you're right, they have a business interest in working with us in the sense that we could help them create assets. So we could help them create MIDI files or sheet music, which in some cases is legally required for music publishers, and in other cases, it's just another asset, another form of data that they could use internally. And historically, they haven't had access to it.
I was reading that early on when you were starting to train these models, you took a stance that you weren't going to train on anything that wasn't publicly available. Mm-hmm. You were using all public domain music and information. Early on, did that cost you anything?
It certainly cost us, it led to candidly slower development. And that's a big reason why we're really excited to have contracts with music publishers that'll increase the data available, and the way we've architected our models. They'll hopefully scale quite well. And therefore the results will increase with fidelity, or have increased percent accuracy rather quickly. What we've decided to do is, like, we've been working with legal counsel. Our lawyer is Liz Moody, who's done a lot of work in the music tech space, and particularly the music AI space. And she's been advising us as to what is okay, less okay to do, and we've been quite intentional to do things in a way that protects the rights of artists. Like I mentioned before, we have a number of models that we've been experimenting with that we just haven't released yet, waiting to get as we're waiting to get the blessing or the contract signed with some of the big industry players beforehand.
If I were a musician and I heard that there was an AI company in the music space, perhaps my knee-jerk reaction would be, I want nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
Because I come from a creative field. I am a creator.
Yeah.
There's an existential threat there. But if I were to hear, we haven't trained any of our models on what is not publicly available, that would give me some amount of comfort. I would probably feel less friction in adopting something like Songscription. Have you seen that that's the case?
I think right now, a lot of musicians, they hear AI and they put it in one box. And part of me could understand that, especially when you see these generative music AI platforms like Suno, Udio, 11 Labs, Google released a model. I can very much understand how those tools, if misused, can limit human creativity in the immediate term and certainly in the long term. I also know many musicians who use them to assist creativity. But if I was a musician, I could imagine being quite scared.
Yeah.
Where Songscription is different is we are not a generative AI platform. We are an AI music research lab. We do assistive or derivative AI, where you give us your song and we turn your existing song into a different format that makes it accessible to learn, recreate, play, produce with, for example. And so for us, we see ourselves as opening up the doors to accessing your music if you were a musician, not replacing the musician. In fact, our core value is a world with more live music is a better world. And so we're just creating technologies to help reduce the barriers to playing live music. It's almost the complete opposite of what many other music AI companies are doing.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. So have you heard from musicians specifically that have been like, wow, you guys, you seem different among the other AI music platforms or tools?
We have. We also have heard the opposite. If you go on certain Reddit threads or if you look at our Facebook page, we'll get users who say, thank you so much. You guys have saved my life. You guys have, finally been able to play this. Or they'll even send sometimes recordings of them playing something that they just, love, or it was their grandma's or grandpa's favorite song, and now they're finally able to recreate it, and that just brings them so much joy.
Yeah. And
then we also get people who, in my opinion, misunderstand our mission or misunderstand our value proposition, and put us in the boogeyman AI corner and say, sure, look, you're AI. We're not. I just don't do anything with AI.
Yeah. So how are you, what work is the brand doing, or how are you mitigating against that perception?
Some some small things that we've done recently is we added an About Us page, which on our website, which showcases our values. We allow paid users to opt out of their data, of having their data being used to train AI models. Anyone who's paid could do that. And we're in the process of writing like an AI ethics page, just having it very, very clearly defined why we exist, what we're building, what our dream is, and also who and what we're not. As we finalize the deals with the music publishers, I think that will send a very clear signal to musicians broadly that we mean business. Like we put our money where our mouth is. These deals are going to cost us quite a bit in terms of revenue and money, as any music industry deal does. But for us, doing things kosher and making sure that the artists whose work and creativity really is the backbone of what we're doing, that those artists get compensated in a fair and equitable way is core to our values. And so we're willing to pay that price. And then hopefully we could find a way to showcase it so that it, that those values shine through, despite or in light of how AI and creativity, are at odds seemingly.
It's pretty unique that you get to have such ethical conversations about ethics in the workplace like that, and have that be such a core part of what you're doing with the product. As an AI research lab versus someone that's or another company that might just be repackaging or adding a couple of agents onto whatever Claude or Gemini can do. Have you found that interesting and rewarding, those ethical conversations?
It's really, really cool. I think I'm the dumbest person on the team, and it's just a privilege to talk to all these technical experts, talking to people who have just finished their PhD dissertations, so truly publishing at the forefront of their field, and in some cases convincing them to join the team, and sharing, seeing, having great conversations to make sure that we are mission aligned, and that we both deeply value a world that has more live music. We understand the guardrails. We understand that we don't just scrape the entire internet for data. We take a legally calculated approach, and we have a legal advisor pretty much from the start to make sure that we do things effectively. We are early, so jury's still out on how this will go as a business model.
Sure. Yeah.
I hope it goes well,
as it is for any AI company right now.
But what I can say is, and I think I could speak on behalf of the team here, that we built this company in a way that we could be proud to talk about it to our grandchildren, and that's been a North Star for us.
Nice, right on. I saw on LinkedIn that you had a listing for a content ambassador. Was that something that you're experimenting with, or is that something that you're scaling that has been working organically? We
do have a few active content ambassadors. What we found is who's better to talk about how to use Songscription than existing Songscription users, and showcasing the use case, for example, in the classroom or in private tutor sessions. And so we've brought on a few music learners and a few music teachers to help create content, and that's been going pretty well, broadly speaking.
Cool. Have you experimented at all with paid acquisition?
Yes. So still to date, the vast majority of our traffic, like over 70%, comes from organic or direct. The paid bucket, we're very happy about that, and we definitely don't want paid. We don't view paid as a way to replace organic. We view it as a way to kindle the fire. And so we have begun experimenting with paid acquisition. We use Percuity as our platform to manage our ads across a bunch of different outlets: Google, Bing, Facebook, right, etc. And we do see a growing number of users coming from there, but our core is, and will continue to be organic, because that's how we think you could really build the best brand and establish a truly defendable, moat that scales as your product scales.
You mentioned Reddit as an early organic channel of growth. Reddit can be tricky because if you're overly promotional or market-y on there, you'll get your stuff taken down. So how did you guys navigate that in the early days of Songscription?
So first of all, on that second point about you getting taken down if you're overly markety, that was something. So before Songscription, I never used Reddit. I didn't realize that was the case. I had 2 accounts banned. I had no idea why they were banned, I was talking to Alex, my co-founder, who's more Reddit native, and he's like, "Bro, it's because your posts are so ridiculous. They're obviously marketing." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that." So definitely very strict on the marketing side, and that was a lesson I learned. And now I have the Reddit app on my phone, and I scroll sometimes. I'm like, it's nice that it doesn't feel like I'm getting hit with marketing material, right?
You learn the ways.
Yeah, exactly. So Reddit was really important for us when we were starting out. Because that's how we got initial validation. Alex, my co-founder, who's more Reddit native, made like 2 or 3 posts in different Reddit channels, saying, "Okay, I have this new project that transcribes music. It's called Songscription. Check out the website. Let me know if you have any thoughts." And so the message, if you go back in his history, is described in a way that is pretty authentic, is like 100% authentic, comes across as like a coder or a student who's developing a class project, which it was. And gave us the kind of credibility that we needed to see if people actually liked it or engaged. And we saw that people engaged much more than we expected. Again, a few dozen pretty much overnight. And the cool thing is, like, people engaged around the world. It wasn't just a U.S. problem too.
Wow. Yeah. So you were immediately international.
Yeah. Even to date, as we continue to scale, less than 50% of our users are from the United States.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very cool.
Yeah. There's U.S. is the largest country by far user base, but there's a long tail of other countries. I think somewhere around 60%, or could be a little more, of our user base is outside of the United States.
Wow,
that's awesome. Been consistent too, from when we were Reddit ages all the way through today.
To now. Wow, that's super cool. What other community building have you done, and how has that affected things?
On the community side, candidly, I think we could do better. I think it'd be really nice to have one day very active and vibrant Facebook page or subreddit, or Discord channel, even just a newsletter where we feature artists that are on our platform. Of course, with their permission, it can be a great way to cross promote. What we have seen is, again, what we do is quite an emotional moment for people. There's a lot of wow or magic factor. And so they'll create user-generated content, or they'll create a community around it. They'll, for example, share a link to their transcription to others, and that brings more users into the platform and creates a sense of virality. But on the community front, I think going forward, as we continue to scale, we'll want to do more dedicated effort there.
Cool. Do you have some kind of feed or public forum where people can post their compositions that they made using Songscription?
We've debated this. We are now building out a sheet music library.
Cool.
Focused on public domain work, like for Elise, for example, or Ode to Joy. Longer term, we would want to allow users to, publish their own compositions on Songscription. We are really focused on the ethics behind this and the copyright. And so for us, there are these companies that do audio fingerprinting. We're finalizing a contract with one such company, and that company could help identify whether a work that might be published on Songscription is a copyrighted piece or not. And what we don't want to do is publish copyrighted piece under the name of somebody else.
Yeah.
So once we get that up and running, you can imagine a future where a composer or an independent artist has their composition, runs it through Songscription, has the sheet music, and with the click of a button, it's now accessible to billions of people around the world, assuming they give us, it would be an opt-in, right? So we wouldn't do this without their permission.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool future for us too. And that from there you could build community.
Yeah, and potential new revenue channel for artists.
For the artists, yeah. Or you could think about, Patreon is very Patreon's similar. Great. And for artists overall are under monetizing. This is our view. Under monetizing their sheet music and under monetizing their MIDI. And it can be wonderful to have this kind of library or platform where artists could make their music accessible to their entire fan base, and fans are happy and the artists are happy, and both get paid, or the fans pay the artists, and the fans could connect in a more profound way by being able to play their favorite music at home.
Yeah. I saw in one of the articles about Songscription that you have a relationship with a former guitarist of Guns N' Roses, Bumblefoot.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
So first of all, the guy is awesome. If you watch any video of him, he has this energy that makes you smile. And he does so much amazing work with music education too.
Cool.
I strongly recommend following all of his profiles. And he's got a great sense of humor. We originally got connected with him from it's like a third level connection of a connection of a connection, and word got around that we were building this music thing, and Bumblefoot is someone who's very passionate about music education, building the next generation of musicians, and saw a good amount of potential here, and was kind enough to loan us his support, and has been a really great partner and helping us build and share this tool with others.
That's very cool. So have you talked to him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So how is he involved day to day?
So we could always ask. He's always available whenever we need him. With Bumblefoot, it was very very helpful for when we were first building our initial models and trying to understand why our models work better for piano and less good on guitar, and then within guitar why it was easier for us to do acoustic versus electric, for example, which is still the case today. Bumblefoot hopped on a call and explained the physics behind sound waves and why, for example, electric guitar, depending on whether you're transcribing rock from the 60s, where it's kind of electric, it's like acoustic turned electric, or rock from the 90s, like Guns N' Roses style, or heavy metal rock. Why those instruments, even though it's called an electric guitar, are just really really different.
Yeah.
And so he helped us understand why solving guitar would be a really both impactful and also a very difficult problem.
Yeah.
In the day-to-day operations, we don't typically engage with advisors daily, but anytime we have a question around music, musicality, product, he's incredibly helpful. Or even go to market, he's incredibly helpful. We also have other advisors with deep AI expertise or deep education product expertise, and so we've built ourselves this unofficial board of advisors where we have a set of people that we go to for particular questions.
Cool. What's the craziest request that you guys have gotten for a transcription on the platform?
So probably the craziest one, and this is one that shut down our entire site for a few hours at least, was over last summer. This is when we were building rapid improvements so fast that we weren't thinking about how to protect the sites from attackers or people who are trying to really push the limit. Someone put in, I think it was like a 5-hour MIDI recording and it spelled out like their name or some crazy message. So it was just complete nonsense. But the way that we had the architecture set up, it had to finish processing this piece before moving on to the next one. So we had a ton of users that were pissed overnight, and it was just someone who just dropped a bomb on us.
Wow.
Now we have protections against it.
Yeah.
But I remember in that moment we woke up and we saw like no transcriptions were made. We're like, what the heck is happening? So it's pretty comical looking back on it.
Yikes. Yeah. Well, this has been a lot of fun, Andrew. Thank you for coming by and having this conversation with me. What advice do you have for early founders who are trying to acquire their first few sales, their first 1,000 users, whatever it may be?
So I do want to caveat, like we're mostly B2C, and I think the play looks very different if you're B2B versus B2C. And
sure.
We did think at first we were going to be a B2B company, it was only because we had such strong organic consumer traction from the start that we were like, oh, maybe there's a bigger opportunity here.
That's interesting.
Yeah, what's worked for us thus far has been a good amount of guerrilla style marketing. You have, pick the 3 to 5 channels that you think will do best. Experiment a little bit in each of those channels, and wherever you get traction, double down, and then continuing double down there. But it's a lot of experimentation, a lot of trial and error, and just knowing that having hope that if you're building something truly that solves a really pressing need, people will take to it and it'll take off at some point.
Right on.
Hopefully, we'll continue to grow too. But those lessons are something that I've learned over the relatively short time that we've been around.
Right on. Very cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.